Thanks for joining us again for another weekly session from the GunStuff studios. I'm your host, Chris Swainhart, and we're broadcasting live from Newport, Kentucky. Today is the day before Flag Day, so of course we're going to talk a little bit about that, some current events, and we're also going to tell you a little bit about something that we've learned that's very important for all of you concealed carry holders. So thanks for watching, tell your friends about it, and we're getting started right now. Thanks. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. I've got Scott Kiefner with us and Mike Miller, and I'm Chris Swainhart. And
hey guys,
behind
happy,
us,
Flag Day Eve.
I don't know if you can see it back right behind us, but they're doing a lot of fun stuff back here on the river. And we're here in Newport, Kentucky. You know, Mike, a lot of people ask me, where are you located? And I usually say Cincinnati, Ohio, but then I have to tell them we're not really in Cincinnati, are we?
No, we're Kentucky.
Yeah, we're Kentucky.
It's a big Ohio ocean.
Yeah, Newport, Kentucky, that's the Ohio Ocean.
You know?
And Scott, you're all decked out. You're looking pretty fine there.
Thank you very much. This is a shirt I got for the course that we went to, the AWT course. So.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So Mike and I and Scott, we were all, not too long ago, just last month, at the USCCA. And it's a great organization. The USCCA is what, for our viewers?
Chris, the USCCA is a great organization, and I think they've done a great job of bringing to light, really self-defense, which everybody's always known out there. They do a lot of training. But really what happens after you have to pull that trigger, Scott, everybody says, hey, let's draw, let's get better, let's get quicker, let's try and calm our nerves if something happens. Mm-hmm. But if something happens, you have to pull the trigger, you need to have somebody on your side. These guys have it. I mean, you're talking, millions of dollars sometimes to protect yourself, and how many know about a 48-hour rule and things
Absolutely.
like that.
And just like in our law enforcement career, you have time afterwards, and you're automatically assigned a lawyer, and you're given all the information, and they tell you, hey, you don't need to make a statement just yet. But if you're being a civilian and being on the street and you're involved in a shooting, your judgment's clouded. You have the adrenaline dump that's going on. You got you tunnel vision, all these other things, and you're going through shock at the end of this, most likely. And so when someone comes up and they start asking you questions, there are things that you could accidentally say that could be incriminating, or they could be come across or be misconstrued once you go to court. So having someone on your side, an attorney that you can call immediately, is an invaluable asset, and it could save everything you have.
So Scott, you're in law enforcement. You're saying it's not like what it is in the movies, because in the movies they just go bang and that's it. You're saying there's adrenaline, all kinds of things happening.
Yeah, there's no going out to dinner after this.
Yeah, no. Yeah, your wreck's pretty much your week is pretty much wrecked after that, and we have people to guide us through this. We have all kinds of different resources, but civilians, people on the street, they don't.
We don't. Yeah, exactly.
No. It's never talked about. No. Hey. You see somebody on the news that they shot, self-defense, whatever, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Well, and this is what
but nobody says say 48 hours. Mm-hmm. It takes 48 hours for your brain to calm down, and if they start asking you questions, you have no idea.
Yeah.
They should tell you that, but they want answers right away.
Yeah, and there's also, in a situation like that, there can be things that people that are interviewing, they can implant ideas. They can not necessarily implant ideas, but they can say, "Did you do this?" And you can be led in leading questioning, and you never know who is going to be interviewing you. So it's one of those things that it's better to have a lawyer.
Or later down the road, they say, "Oh, well, that's not what you said here."
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But you're in shock and you don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, and then because it all comes back in court. Every single bullet that you fire has a lawsuit attached to it. So once that bullet goes down range, you have to assume that you're going to have to stand in court to answer for that round that you fired. So the lawyers with the USCCA, they are going to be there to help you get through that. So it's like I said, it's
and they cover everything. Because there's other organizations out there that might cover the first 10,000 or 100,000, whatever it is. But it can get expensive. And they cover everything. So if it's a couple million, that is what you're getting. That's the value.
Well, it's also one of the things. How much is your freedom worth?
Exactly.
You know, how much is a couple years of freedom worth to you? You know, depending on,
or the 2 years to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to show our viewers a picture of Tim Schmidt here, and if you go to the GunStuff site, you'll see more information. In fact, we'll be having some more on this evening and tomorrow. You'll be able to see our interview with Tim. And Tim was saying that the USCCA has basically three main functions. We've got the self-defense education, and when we were at the convention, they had lots of education classes going on, and they have training so that they can actually show you what to do, and then of course it's the legal protection that comes along with it. Now we had scheduled Spencer Jacobson. We're going to have him next week, and he right from the horse's mouth, and he'll be able to tell us a little bit more about the USCCA. But hey, one of the interesting things is they're giving away a gun every single day in the month of June, and it looks like you have.
Are we allowed to win?
No.
Yeah, I think you guys.
Can we sign up to win?
I think you can sign. That's one thing you can sign up for, because
Right.
that's not ours. But folks, you need to go check back. We'll have a link on the bottom of this, wherever you're watching, and you know, we're watching in four or five different places. We'll put some links on there for you so that you can get registered for this gun giveaway. And it's a great opportunity to learn more about the USCCA and the protection and the role. You know, it's not just enough to have a CCW. You got to be protected, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and what they're offering here is it's a complete package: the self-defense training, education, but then the training that goes with it. You know, you sit through just like any other training, you'll go through the classroom, and then you'll go through a little bit of training to familiarize yourself with body mechanics and moving and drawing and all these different things. So they're offering a well-rounded package.
And if anybody ever has an opportunity to get out to the show that we went to in Pittsburgh, last year was in Louisville, Kentucky. If you have an opportunity to go, it's great. How many classes and trainings did they have? They had 2 or 3 stages. They had, I don't know, 8 or 10 classrooms, and these are all industry. You saw a lot of your heroes there. I mean, that actually, you know, you see on YouTube, you see these people, and they come in because they're in to meet the people and to help train and help educate. So if you ever have an opportunity to go, that it's amazing. And it's open to the public, and that's what they want. And there's 100, 200 people in these classes. It's amazing.
There were so many classes that I wanted to attend when we were there, and I didn't get a chance to, because we were going around, we were talking
Meeting
to people.
people.
We have to work.
I mean, so we were kind of working, but
Yeah.
but I still it wasn't really like work to me. I'm in my element. I'm having fun there, so I love it. But there are all these instructors that I watch myself. You know, I subscribe to their YouTube channels and all their other channels and all their different media outlets, and the training that they put on is stuff that I try to implement into mine, because I'm like, okay, that's a great training strategy. Let me try that out.
Well, guys, last week we were talking about D-Day, and you'll see a picture about a holiday that's coming up just tomorrow, and you'll see the U.S. flag and the soldiers there. Tomorrow, June 14th, is Flag Day, and Flag Day is a time when we actually take some time out and make sure that we're flying our flags, but there are some requirements to make sure that we celebrate this holiday properly. So there are some questions on here. The first question: how do we properly salute the flag? Now, I'm right across. We've got the Bengals Stadium, and we tried to get some of the football players in, Mike, today to tell us how to properly salute, but they couldn't show up. I think they were busy patching their knees on their uniforms. But here's a couple
They
guys.
returned our phone call. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. So tell us, Mike, what's in fact, you're a military guy. Tell us, Scott.
Well, it's just the same as you see in the picture here that's on the TV. When you bring your hand up, you bring it up to your brow, arm straight, arm out to the side, the other hand comes down to the side. You don't necessarily have to be at the position of attention for a civilian. Of course, all military personnel are trained from day one how to properly salute.
That's probably the first thing you do.
Yeah,
you get off the bus, it's like,
quite
here's how
literally
you
is,
salute.
because you have to salute the flag every morning and every night. You have to salute all the officers moving through. So even if you just happen to cross the hallway and there's an officer there, you have to salute. But with most of the civilians, we do the hand over the chest. So
And that's President Trump. Trump here, First Family, shows us how to do
Yes.
it. And you remember when we were at, was it the NRA?
Dallas last year.
In Dallas, we had the national anthem, and everyone stopped wherever they were, stood at attention, found the flag that was on all the TVs, and they all put their hands over their heart. And so I think that's a decent respect for the U.S. flag. Because
Absolutely.
what are we respecting? You know, the 13 stripes, the original colonies, the founding fathers. We've got every state union is represented on that. You're really respecting all of us. This is not something, you know, regardless of, you know, like for example, you know, I may not be that happy with some of the ways they do things in California, but they're one of the 50 states. We're all together in this, and we're saluting each other.
And one of the interesting things I found last night was during a little bit of research of my own, I was trained in all the flag etiquette and things like that in the military, and also had to do a couple of the burial services and flag folding ceremonies and passing the flag to family member and things like that, you know, of the deceased. But one of the interesting things I found is that the flag is meant to be treated as a living thing. So when we're, you know, when it's disposed of and things like that, it's treated just as it would be a human. It's given the same respect. And I didn't realize that until I read through part of the U.S. Flag Code last night. You know, I knew from training just what was given to me in boot camp and other things like that, but that was a very interesting point that I had to bring up.
Right, and with my research, and you would mention our great football team over here, the Bengals. You know, the NFL obviously has been in the news for years talking about this stuff and the kneeling and everything else, and it's in the code of ethics that, like you said, treating it as a living thing. You know, yeah, you're trying to get a platform and make a statement, but the flag is not the platform to use for that. It's, I'll read it here. You stand at attention with right hand over heart. The key word is stand, not kneel, not anything else. You have an agenda, push it somewhere else. Don't push it on the greatest country in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think our audience, and you know, we don't have to tell everybody that. But being in the news, I don't think they explain it like it's a person.
Yeah, and also one of the things that you try to explain here is that you're given very specific protocol on how to treat the flag. It's written out, it's in black and white, and it was done in, I'm trying to see here, the like 49 or something like that is when they came up with the flag etiquette. So it was done then, and anything you do other than that protocol is considered disrespectful. So that's why a lot of people get upset. I myself got upset about a lot of the kneeling because I know what the protocol is, and anything you do besides the proper protocol is considered disrespect by the flag code, and that's why people are so up in arms about it, and that's why it touches, you know, so many people.
So the how do you store the flag? There's proper ways to store the flag, and you can look this up. In fact, we're going to give you some references here at the end. How do you dispose of a worn out flag? Now, Mike, you were telling us that was something that you didn't know about.
Well, you know, I knew part of what to do with the flag.
What is a worn out flag, first of all?
A worn out flag is if the flag is torn, if it's dirty, you know, if a lot of them will fade because they're outside, you know, that's a worn out flag. It doesn't have to be in tethers or have holes in it. It could just have gotten a lot of mud on it and just be nasty, and it's time for a new one. So those are some of the things.
Do you
that,
put it in the garbage or what?
No, absolutely not. And I think those were some of the things that I knew kind of what to do, but not in depth to how you dispose. And I think I've read and seen stories on, there's veterans that will drive by a house, seen a torn flag, and they will walk up and knock on the door because they know the importance of it and say, hey, I want to buy you a new flag. I'm going to take yours down and dispose of it properly. You know, so this comes directly from the VFW site. The first thing should be folded, like we just talked about in the customary way. And after you fold it, you actually want a large fire pit, whatever, and it needs to be hot because this is supposed to burn all the way down to ashes. And you sing the Pledge of Allegiance while you're setting this on fire. When it is done, you take the ashes and you take them out and bury them.
Sounds like a lot of work, Mike.
There's a lot of work.
It's a lot of freedom we have too.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what.
But, you know, that's the way you do it, and that's the people in the military, especially, that give up their freedom to go in the military and protect ours. We respect them to do this as well, and they're the ones that allow us to have a flag.
Well, here's a shortcut, and I'll just give this to our viewers. Anytime you have an old flag that you want to dispose of, just call your local Boy Scout troop. They'll come out, they'll pick it up, and they'll take care of it, and they'll do it with a proper ceremony. And I think almost any local VFW post would do the same, or talk to the local law enforcement, so that you don't necessarily have to do it, but it should be done properly. Now, there's a slide on here you'll see. Learn more at military.com, ushistory.org, and vfw.com.
I tell you what, that ushistory.org is awesome. Sam and I were looking at it. There is a wealth of knowledge on history and everything else. So check out a couple of those sites.
Well, as we were saying, the flag has a lot to do with our history, and our history is inexorably combined with our freedoms, and that's what we're always interested in, especially the Second Amendment. Now, we're hearing, Mike, you know a little bit more about this. This is right here in Cincinnati, thanks to the folks at WLWT. What happened to this poor lady?
Well, ultimately, it was great because poor guy. He messed with the wrong ex-girlfriend. Basically, she had a restraining order. She has 5 kids, and he came in through the window one night, and she had a registered firearm. I don't know if she had a CCW or not.
It wouldn't make a difference.
But she had a registered firearm, and he came through the window, and he's not going back out the window. He's going back out the front door, and just because of a piece of paper cannot protect you. She had a restraining order. So she had training or wanted to protect her family. Perfect example. And then I think the prosecutor has already come out. This happened, I think, last week, Chris. The prosecutor's already come out and said there's no charges.
No charges. And
charges.
Now, then again, there may be no charges, but if she was a member of the USCCA, she'd have some legal representation and muscle behind her, because that's just the beginning. There's a lot more to it. So remember, we're going to tell you more about the USCCA in the future, and also we'll have some links in the bottom of these posts. Now, last weekend, Scott, I'm going to start this cranking, and we want to make sure people see this. I'm going to start this thing rolling, and Scott, there we are. What's going on? And I think our audience, they can hear this, can't they? You're plinking. That target you're shooting at is how far away?
That's 1,000 yards. So part of the course we go through, we do all our classes.
1,000 yards. But how far is long as a football?
It's 100 yards. So you're shooting
10
football
fields long, and you're hitting that little target. It was about a foot square.
Yes, sir. So the bigger target that you see on the side there, the one that's swinging in the video, that's a little bit bigger. The other target that you're required to hit, the 2 bullseyes that are on that big steel plate. As a matter of fact, that is a 10-foot. It looks like a small target off in the distance, but that is almost a 10-foot tall steel plate that's up there with 2 10-inch circles in the middle of it. So that's just to give a little bit of scale, and we're required to, at the end of the course, by the end of the course, to hit a 10-inch circle. I ended up getting my best shot ended up being about 3 inches off center. So by the time we were done, I had one good, I had several shots, but my best shot was about 3 inches off center.
And that's a 60%er that you're shooting right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
the small one.
So basically, that's a silhouette
what do we
of
have
your
right
body.
here? I see it looks like a weapon. Does that have something to do with it?
Yeah, so this is the rifle that I used while I was there. I'd like to give a thank you to Black Collar Arms for bringing out or sending me this chassis. They sent it actually to the school, and I showed up with a subpar chassis with a subpar stock. They sent this, and they also sent a prototype butt stock that came with it. And this is the rifle I was using to shoot it. So this is the rifle I was using to shoot. We got 1,000 yards with this. This is really light, with this chassis and everything. So it's pretty small. But we started the course, and we got into ballistics. We started and we jumped right off day one. So it was a 40-hour course, and it immediately went into ballistics. And through that, we went all the way through this. This right here is everything that can affect your round from start to finish, and we went through this whole book.
So it's not just pointing and shooting, huh?
Oh no.
Now,
Yeah.
Scott, we're not going to have time to hear about all of it because you're made this into a half-hour documentary.
Yes.
And it's going to be on the GunStuff season. Now, we're going to have about another month of editing to do. And what do I see behind me right there?
So this is the
Your certificate?
So just to show that everyone gets a certificate if they're successful at the end of the class, and it just states that you completed 40 hours of training and that you successfully engaged targets at 1,000 yards, and is signed by Don Fraley, the instructor and the owner of AWT.
Now, some of the other people that were in the class, who were they? What type of people were they? Some law enforcement people there?
No, we didn't. As a matter of fact, we had gun writers, we had magazine editors, I was paired up with a young man that's about ready to join the military. He's only 18 years old, and he wanted to go into military sniping. And since I have a little bit of background about that, I was paired up with him. So
can you imagine? He gets he's going to already know a lot. They're going to love him, right?
He's starting off with he has a phenomenal head start. One, he showed up with awesome gear. Two, he's getting direct instruction from Don, was a ballistics master, and being able to get people on target and deliver the information in a way that we can take it all in, because it's a vast amount of information when it comes to.
So he's going to blow.
Yeah,
everybody away when
once he gets out there, once he gets a chance to get behind a bolt gun, he's going to be able to shine, and he's going to have a very distinct advantage. We went over a lot of stuff too, communication, movement, things like that. A lot of things that weren't really covered in the course. This wasn't really a sniper course. This was precision rifle. So, like, military would be considered sniper, marksman observer would be considered is what they call like sniper schools for like law enforcement. So now they're called marksman observer courses. But this was long range precision. So that's kind of the name that's given most of the time for civilian use. So, but the amount of ballistics, I've never received that much information
in all your
class.
years of training.
No.
So I'm a former Marine, Air Marshal, law enforcement, and you've got lots of training. Now, we're almost at the end of our half-hour show here, so we're just going to invite each of you folks. Make sure you're watching. If you haven't gone to Amazon Prime yet, or Roku, or Apple TV, make sure that you've added us to your lineup. And when that new Scott Kiefner AWT, the long distance training episode, you're going to want to see every second of it. Now, the way you learn a little bit more about what we have here on our show is you look at the GunStuff mailbag, and you've got to sign up, as we talked about last week. Mike was saying that if you wanted to give us some ideas for the show, be sure to fill out our form online so that you'll be able to give us some information. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your ideas. Now, our sponsors for today, let's first start with the 6-hour P320. Now, we talked about this last week. In fact, why don't you take that out of there while we're talking. Scott is very familiar with the P320, and it's a favorite of law enforcement everywhere. We still have a few of these left, Scott, believe it or not.
Okay.
Not very many.
It should be too many.
And by the time all the emails go out this week, if you've gotten an email, you need to get on board with it. And so that's the P320. And it's a great firearm, and the folks that have purchased it so far have been delighted. And this is a phenomenal price. There's special pricing we give to law enforcement only, and this is very tightly controlled by SIG. And it just so happens that SIG released this last of this bit of inventory so that they said that we could sell that law enforcement price directly to the public. That's why it's such a good deal. And I think it says on there $449 for a firearm that's normally $700. So
and you get the three mags usually.
Oh, three mags, yeah.
Yes.
You also usually have to. You usually normally get one, and you have to buy these at another $60 or $30 a piece. I'm guessing.
$36.
$36 a piece. So yeah, you'd be.
And they're steel mags. These are not, plastic stuff. Yeah. And then Walther, the Walther Creed. This is another special buyout too. For $286, you're saving what looks more than $100. The Walther Creed, we've been shipping these out all week too. When these are gone, they will be gone. They won't be back again. And then the Sky CPX2. This is a very popular. In fact, some of the friends at USCCA put us onto this. This is a very popular for personal defense, and the price. We just increased the price. $4. So this is it though, $197, And then if you go to GunStuff, you can find it in all kinds of colors. The ones we're featuring today is this two-tone here, and then there's also black. We've got the Sig Sauer ammo again, $14, Hornady, and then of course my favorite, the concealed carry grenade. To me, this is when you go out to a party someplace, just put these on your belt, and people are going to say, well, you're going to be the life of the party if the police don't take you away first. So, winners. Oh, tell us about this. Here's our winner for this week of the ADCO giveaway.
Who is it, John? Yeah, the ADCO winner is John. We talk about this every week, but sign up. These are great, especially this time of year, like we've talked. The weather's warming up. Everybody's taking their family out to get out and start practicing, throw some lead down range, and this is going to save you. This is going to save you a lot of time. This is going to save you a lot of thumb ache. And while the family, the kids, the wife, the husband is shooting, somebody else has this thing and they're reloading the mags. It's great, and there's, I believe, 6 of them in here, and so they cover a whole range of calibers.
Well, I've found in the past also these things really save you. I mean, during summer you go out and you shoot more, but in the winter, it makes things less painful because you got gloves on, or you're trying to do it with cold fingers, and you're holding a metal mag, you're holding metal rounds, and you're putting them in. Your fingers get stinging. So that's when they really shine.
Now I apologize for this, guys. We third week in a row, I guess. We forgot to put the link on here, so it's you go to https gunstuff.tv and you put in ADCO, and then we have another. This is just started this in our last our last broadcast last week. We've had this is going to be announced on July 4th, the Spartan Blades giveaway. Again, we've got gunstuff.tv/Spartan, and this is a $525 dollar value. This is a very beautiful knife. It's very well made. You can see on the one side the M4 rifle, and then on the back you'll see they have the Second Amendment right on there. So $525.
And what a better day to announce that too.
Yeah, exactly. Flag Day. So guys, and let's see if I can get a nice view of it. I think you can see it there, and you can see that it's a beautiful knife. Now, the thing about this, I learned a little bit more about Spartan Blades. First of all, they're 2 Special Forces guys that know something about knives. And now, the big question I think you're probably going to wonder is, well, I take this home and I start using it, am I going to need to have it sharpened? Well, if you do, you send it back to Spartan. It's free lifetime honing. That is a tremendous value. A lifetime guarantee, all made with U.S. components. So folks, be sure to register for that. And let's give them that URL again one more time. They can see where that is. It's gunstuff.tv/Spartan. And you can register for that. Now remember, GunStuff TV live Thursdays, every 2 p.m. on Thursdays, and we're going to bring you more giveaways, more deals. Now, we did promise you we're going to put you the links to the free gun giveaway. We're going to do that here in the next few minutes, so by 3 o'clock you'll have the link and you'll be able to subscribe to that. So thanks a lot for watching, and please join us again next week for GunStuff Live from Newport, Kentucky.